If you keep going back to someone that hurt you, if you can't explain why you stay even though you know you should leave, you're not in love. You're trauma bonded. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you the 7 signs to prove it, why it happens, and most importantly, how to break free. Here's what nobody tells you about trauma bonding. It feels like love. The highs feel high, the connection feels deeper, and when it's good, it's incredibly good. But here's the difference. Real love is consistent. Trauma bonds thrive on chaos and unpredictability, and your brain literally gets addicted to the cycle. So if you're sitting there thinking, why can't I just leave? Listen to me. You're not weak. You're not stupid. Your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do when exposed to intermittent reinforcement. And I'm going to explain exactly what that means in a minute. But first, let's talk about the 7 signs that you're trauma bonded, not in love. The first sign, the push-pull cycle. One day they're all in, love bombing you, making you feel like you're the most important person in the world. That next day they're cold, they're distant, and they're picking fights out of nowhere. They text you 50 times one day, and then they ghost you for 3 straight days. And when you start to pull away, suddenly they're back apologizing and promising. But when you lean in again, they pull away again. And here's why this creates trauma bond. Unpredictability triggers your nervous system to stay hypervigilant. You're constantly on edge, waiting for that next shift. And that creates an addiction to the good moments because they feel so rare and they feel so intense. The second sign, you're walking on eggshells. You constantly monitor your words, your tone, even your facial expressions because you never know what's going to set them off. You rehearse conversations in your head. You delete and rewrite text messages 5 times. You apologize for things that aren't even your fault just to keep peace. You're exhausted from managing their emotions instead of living your own life. And here's what you need to understand. This emotional abuse disguised as, well, they're just sensitive or they have high standards. No, that's not true. Healthy relationships don't require you to shrink yourself to keep someone else comfortable. The third sign, isolating from your support system. They don't have to explicitly tell you to stop seeing friends and family. They just make it so uncomfortable that you do it yourself. They sulk when you make plans. They criticize your friends. They create drama right before important events. Eventually, it's easier just to stay home. It's easier to cancel your plans than to deal with the fallout. And here's the trap. Isolation makes you more dependent on them for validity and reality checking. When you don't have an outside perspective, you start believing their version of reality. You lose your sense of what's normal and what's not. The fourth sign, you can't explain why you stay. When friends ask you, why are you still with them? You can't give a clear answer. You say things like, well, you don't understand, or they're actually very different when we're alone. You make excuses for their behavior. You focus on their potential instead of their patterns. You remember the person they were in the beginning, not who they are now. And here's the reality check. If you can't articulate why you're staying, it's likely not love. It's fear of the pain of leaving. It's hope that they'll change back into what they were during the love bombing phase. But that person, that was a mask. This is who they really are. Sign number 5, your self-worth has tanked. You used to be confident, social, and sure of yourself. Now you second-guess everything, and you believe you're lucky to be with this person. You think to yourself that no one will put up with you. You think that you're too damaged for anyone else. They've convinced you that your standards are unreasonable and that you're too needy or you're too sensitive or you're just too much. And here's the damage this does. This is intentional. Lowering your self-worth keeps you trapped. Because if you believe you're worthless, you won't leave. You stay and you accept whatever scraps of affection that they're willing to throw your way. The sixth sign, the cycle always repeats. There's always a pattern. Tension builds, explosion happens. They apologize or they love bomb. There's a brief honeymoon period, and then back to the tension over and over again. They promise to change after every fight. Maybe they're good for a week or 2, or maybe even a month. but the pattern always returns because the core dynamic hasn't changed. They haven't done their work. They just reset the cycle. And here's the key insight. Hope keeps you trapped. You stay for who they could be, not for who they are. You stay because you remember how it was during the honeymoon phase. But that phase gets shorter and shorter every day. And the bad phases, they get longer. The seventh side. You feel relief when they're gone. When they leave for a trip or you have a few days apart, you feel lighter. You can breathe. Your shoulders drop. You smile more. But then they come back and you fall right back into that mode. And your friends notice you're more yourself again when they're not around. And then when they return, that weight settles back on your chest like a ton of bricks. And here's the truth. Real love doesn't feel like a weight lifted when they're gone. Real love feels like home. If you're relieved when they leave, that's your body telling you something that your heart doesn't want you to hear yet. So let's talk about the difference between a trauma bond and real love. Because I know what you're thinking. Because it feels so intense, it has to be love. In a trauma bond, affection is inconsistent and unpredictable. Your attachment is based on fear of abandonment, fear of their anger, fear of being alone. You're anxious and hypervigilant all the time. The highs and the lows are extreme. It's either amazing or it's awful. You feel drained, exhausted, and depleted all the time. And you can't be yourself. You're constantly performing. Real love, care, and respect are consistent and reliable. Your connection is based on security and trust. You feel calm and safe even during disagreements. There's steady, sustainable happiness, not a roller coaster. You feel energized and supported. You can be completely authentic. If your relationship feels like a roller coaster, that's not passion, that's chaos. Real love feels like coming home, not surviving a storm. Now let's talk about why trauma bonding happens, because understanding this will help you stop blaming yourself. The first reason it happens is intermittent reinforcement. Your brain releases dopamine during the good moments, and because those moments are unpredictable and rare, the dopamine hit is massive. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. You keep pulling that lever hoping for the jackpot, even though you lose most of the time. That's why consistent love can feel boring after a trauma bond. Your brain got addicted to the intensity of the unpredictability. Now, the second reason it happens is codependency patterns. Maybe you learned in childhood that love requires sacrifice, that you need to earn affection, that conflict means someone cares, that your needs don't matter as much as keeping the peace. So this relationship feels familiar, even if it's toxic. Your nervous system recognizes this pattern, and familiar feels safe, even when it's dangerous. And the third reason is fear of abandonment. The threat of them leaving triggers absolute panic in you. It activates your attachment system into overdrive. You'll do anything to avoid that pain, even if staying causes more damage in the long run. And here's the funny thing, they know this, so they use that threat of leaving as a weapon. They withdraw affection to control you. They make you chase them to prove your love. Here's what you need to hear. This is not your fault. These are psychological patterns that can happen to anyone, and recognizing them is the first step to breaking free. And you're here watching this video, which means you're already taking that step. So congratulations. So let's talk about exactly how to break free from a trauma bond, because awareness isn't enough. You need action. Step number one is you want to own it. You want to name it. Stop calling it love. Call it what it is. It's a trauma bond. This removes the romantic elements and helps you see clearly. If you have to write it down, say it out loud. I'm in a trauma bond, not a loving relationship. And the second step I want you to do is I want you to document the pattern. Keep a journal of the cycles. Write down the fights, the apologies, the promises. Write down how you feel during the good times and the bad times. Seeing it on paper breaks the denial. And you can't gaslight yourself when all the evidence is right there in front of you. Their third step, I want you to reconnect with your support system. Reach out to the people you've isolated yourself from. Tell them what's happening and be honest. You need outside perspective and accountability. You need people who will remind you of reality when you start making excuses again. And step number 4, you need to set boundaries and you need to stick to them. Start small. Say no to something and don't apologize when you haven't done anything wrong. Don't respond immediately to their text. Watch how they react. It will tell you everything. If they respect your boundary, well, maybe there's hope here. But if they punish you for it, well, then there's your answer. Step number 5, you need to plan your exit. Breaking the trauma bond requires going no contact. You cannot heal while you're still exposed to the toxin. Plan where you'll go, who will support you, how you'll handle the withdrawal, because it will feel like a withdrawal. And your brain will be screaming at you to go back, and you're going to miss them. You're going to romanticize about the good times, and you're going to minimize the bad times. This is normal behavior. This is your addiction talking. Do yourself a favor. Don't listen to it. And the 6th step, I want you to get professional help. A therapist who specializes in trauma and codependency can help you understand why you're vulnerable to these patterns and how to heal. They can help you process the grief and rebuild your self-worth. And they can help you create a healthier attachment plan, a healthier attachment pattern. Here's the reality check. Breaking free will hurt. You will miss them. You're going to doubt yourself. You'll wonder if you're making a mistake. But I promise you, the pain leaving is temporary. The pain of staying is forever. So if you recognize yourself in these signs, do me a favor, drop me a broken heart emoji in the comments. You're not alone. An acknowledgement is the bravest thing that you can do. And if you successfully have broken from a trauma bond, share your story below. Your experience could be the push someone needs to finally leave. Subscribe to Dating to Win for more no BS relationship advice that actually helps you win at dating and win at life. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. You deserve real love, not chaos disguised as passion, not fear disguised as intensity. Real, consistent, safe love is what you deserve. And the first step to getting it is walking away from what obviously is not love. So I hope this message hit home today. Or if you have a friend who you think needs to hear this message, do me a favor and share it with them. And I will see you on the next episode of Dating to Win.
Thanks for listening to Dating to Win. If you're serious about improving your dating game, don't miss an episode. Hit the subscribe button or go to youtube.com/dating